I built my team up and then kind of burn it to the ground, so to speak. I had agents leave. I had agents that I asked to leave. I had agents that I was, thank God that they left. You know who you are.
So right before we hit record, Jensen actually said something that really stuck with me. He said, real estate is simple, but it's not easy. And after hearing the stories that you're about to hear, you're gonna see exactly what I mean. So today's guest is Ginson Speich, a Columbus-based real estate agent who has built his business after burning his whole team to the ground. In his words, not mine. He's a dad, he's a drummer, and the kind of guy who can go from showing homes and joggers to planning an album called Too Drunk to Grill. So in this episode, Jensen opens up about the messy middle, firing teammates, rebuilding systems, and figuring out how to grow without losing who he is. We talk about ADHD, authenticity, and the underrated superpower of just showing up exactly as you are. If you've ever felt like the blueprint doesn't fit you, this one's for you. Let's get into it. So what I want to do is I wanted to start the conversation with something a little bit more real. Okay, we could. So what's something that's in your story, your journey, that doesn't show up on Instagram, but man, you look back on it, it's like, this made a huge difference for me.
So, I've got all the gadgets and the tech, and I've been like that since I got in the game in 2008. I overextended myself and bought a camera. That camera still is a topic of conversation in our household.
Okay.
Just because my wife was like, I can't believe you spent $2,000 on a camera. You don't even know the first thing about photography and blah, blah, blah. And she's right, but sometimes, I tell agents, you want to get successful, go buy a Rollie, go buy a car you can't afford, and then figure it out. So,
ain't that the truth?
Except for it was 2008. There was no figuring it out.
There was no YouTube.
No, there was not. Well, there was YouTube. Let's see, 2008, Facebook and Twitter would have been 1 to 2 years old. And I was an early adopter, and I was just trying to figure it out. But as I kind of didn't watch Game of Thrones or any type of, series television, I kind of turned the television off and got sucked into the internet and YouTube and how-to videos and all of that. That's kind of like, and I started to do things that other people weren't doing, and it felt really good.
So why did that feel good?
Because I didn't look like everybody else. And when I got, I was a professional musician that got my real estate license.
Okay.
I wasn't an aspiring realtor. I would just needed something to do.
So you were bored?
No, I knew that the longevity of getting in a 15-passenger van and traveling around the United States, or at least the Midwest, there was a part of me that I knew essentially wanted 2.5 in a minivan. You know what I mean? The American dream. I also knew that, without a college degree, that was probably the most grown-up job I could get, because I was bartending and doing, random
odds and ends stuff.
Yeah, you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
So I never expected to be where I'm at today. So I'm very grateful for that. But one of the main point that I'm making is that when I moved back to Columbus and I decided to go all in on real estate and kind of put music to the side, I thought that all of my tech toys and, websites and videos and drones and all of that was going to make me a mega agent. And it was really finding a strong mentor. I partnered with another agent who was 10 years older than me and had been in the business his entire life. And I needed the old school to marry with the new school.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point where I kind of came online and was more self-aware of like, oh, shit, Like, I have a lot to learn. And once, I think I may have told you this before, where I think there's a progression in agents. And I think that you go through the classes and you get your real estate license and meets and bounds, and you don't know that doesn't mean shit. And that they go, okay, you have a real estate license, go sell shit. And you're like, you don't even know what you don't know.
It happens so often.
So then you either get on a good team or you trip and fall over a dozen or two transactions, and then you enter what I call the danger zone.
Okay.
And the danger zone is where you get cocky. You think you've got it figured out, and I can't tell you how many times I've met agents in the danger zone, and it's the worst working with them. And if they can get through that period to realize, it's funny because you start off and you don't know anything, and then you go through the danger zone, you think you've got it all figured out. When you come out on the other side, you go, oh shit, I don't know anything.
But you don't know that until you have egg on your face.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once you realize, holy shit, I'm never going to know all there is to know, that's when you start to get good.
Right.
And that's when, things start to click. Your relationships with other agents, developers, builders, title companies, lenders.
Hello.
And that's once you start to kind of build this relationship ball, and then you're using each other, just like we're sitting here today, jamming, talking about stuff. That's when you start to feel like, okay, I'm starting to get it, but I also feel like I'm never going to get it.
So if I'm hearing you right, it's that agents need to eat humble pie as quickly as possible, and then start building a community where their brand can start growing, and then two, they can start getting their confidence up.
Unfortunately, I think that the thing you said, as fast as possible, is not a thing. I think you have to swing the bat. You have to swing the club. Mm-hmm. You've got to put in your 10,000 hours. There's no as fast as possible. You have to play the game at the speed that the game is played.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned that. So, and once again, I don't pretend that I understand or know any of what I'm doing. I'm, like you said, I'm just failing forward. So the reason I bring this up is I had a lender come in my office who's producing more than me. And he said, okay, how do I do social media? And it dawned on me that he had zero clue on what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, no shade to him, because once again, he's doing things that I can't do as far as production volume. But I started going through okay, so first you need to get a camera. Okay, then you need to learn how to light. Then you need to learn to do audio. And I'm still screwing this up. If you guys watch the first couple of episodes, man, I really shit the bed when it came to audio. So, but I'm learning. So this one's a lot cleaner. All that being said, I realized that my secret sauce isn't the fact that I like AV. My secret sauce is the fact that I have failed fast and fixed fast, probably better than any other loan officer that I've ever met. Not necessarily in loans, but with this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to be weird and willing to screw up and try. So, to your point, why don't agents try to fail on purpose?
I don't know. Nobody likes to fail.
Pride and ego, yeah.
Yeah. I just got fired by a client.
Okay.
I'm fine saying it.
Yeah.
I got fired. Now, the reason that I got fired by this client was, I never like to use it's not my fault, right? But the listing agent was, I guess I can't say who the brokerage is a limited service brokerage.
So discount sign, MLS,
yeah,
whatever.
Big box, they're not employing realtors. They're hiring employees that work for the brokerage, and they service the listings. They do not work on the weekends. They do not adhere to contractual benchmarks or timelines unless it's convenient for them. And there's no phone conversation. Everything is done via text with the other agent, and it's just a giant pain in the ass. Now, I told these clients, this is not, if we choose this house, this is not going to be a typical transaction.
Okay.
We showed up so there was no verbal back and forth with the listing agent.
Okay.
I sent over an offer that I go, okay, you're not going to take my call? I'm just going to send this. We would have got another $10,000 higher to get the house easily. Well, they accepted our offer.
The 10 grand less.
Yes.
And if they would have just picked up the phone, they would have gotten 10 grand.
Probably.
More.
Maybe, depending on how the conversation went. But who cares? Okay, so now client's getting a great deal. There's some weird contingencies around occupancy, possession, which we said, okay, if we're getting it for this, we'll deal with that.
We can take the hit.
So we go into the inspection period and we show up with the inspector, no key. There's no key in the lockbox. So the home inspector does a wonderful job of still trying to get into the house because we do have permission to access the property. We try a couple different things, didn't work. Well, of course, I go over to the sign, call the agent,
the usual stuff.
No response. It was, sorry, it's a Saturday because my clients were off on the weekend. They wanted to take the whole day. They brought the dog. Oh, and the family drove 2 hours down from outside of Cleveland.
The buyer.
To see the house.
Ouch.
The parents. Excited, see where the kids are buying a house.
Can't get in.
Can't get in. Nothing we can do. Nobody will take the call. Nobody will answer. No emails, everything. Everything goes to, sorry, we don't work on the weekends. Monday, I get oh, sorry about that. There's another lockbox I could have given you the code to. Yeah, if you would have answered the phone or a text or an email or anything. So we reschedule the inspection. Go back during the week. Water's off. Heat is off. Luckily, I thought to change the batteries in the thermostat, which is all it was.
Yep.
But there's no water. The house has been winterized, and so we can't complete the inspection. So, long story short, we do a third try at the inspection now, and we get the water on, but the water to the kitchen doesn't come on. I was not there. The clients were not there for the last showing because everybody has to work, and we've already been there 3 times, and then he just sends the report over saying, oh, sorry, the water in the kitchen didn't work. So now they think there's no kitchen, there's no water. Like, of course, there's just a valve somewhere that we don't know. So I call the owner of the inspection company who, did backflips, sent somebody over right away. I grabbed a plumber and also just beeline to the house. We got to get this figured out.
Yep.
Client was pissed because well, how did you get all this done within 10 minutes of having a conversation? Because she was losing it over the inspection, over there's no water and all this. I'm like, listen, we've got to be able to figure this out. Let me make some phone calls, and then went over that. And so, long story short, it was like the more I tried to fix the problems that we were having with the lack of communication and the lack of whatever
on the listing side.
With the listings, I'm the one that gets blamed. And that's where I'm going to say, it's not my fault, but I have to take the blame. And we were past all the contingencies at this point where they reached out to me and just said, you lied to us about this and you lied to us about that. And if there's one thing that I am not a fucking liar.
Right.
And that pissed me off. And they said, we want a different agent. And I said, okay. Didn't even get defensive, so obviously I tapped someone else in the office and we're closing tomorrow.
Well, that's good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You get a paycheck out of it, at least you got that to look forward to.
But again, I got fired. And I will be doing a video about it.
I hope you do.
I will.
I would love to hear that story.
Because, obviously I need to figure out how to boil that down, into a quick.
Oh, GPT or Casey Neistat's got you squared there.
Yeah, I know.
So you mentioned earlier you joined a team and having a strong mentor. How did that shape how you approach business today?
Again, when I was on the team, I didn't realize what was being taught to me. It wasn't until I left the team and had to swim in the deep end of the pool. That's when it started to click. Oh, that's what he was saying.
So they were propping you up and you didn't really realize it because of all the things that they were doing in the background.
Yeah, and I just thought, he was a cocky fuck,
Like team lead?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, look, any good agent has got a certain amount of, yeah. And so, we would go back and forth because I would, he was older. And so I'd be like, oh, okay, tell me about that, Grandpa. Because, he rejected social media and all of the new things that I was pushing.
Yeah.
He was like, nobody cares what you had for breakfast. And I'm like, but they kind of do, And we're talking infancy of Instagram and Facebook. And now we know what it's become a catalyst for
A lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that build their business on social media.
Yeah.
And there's some people that social media is their business. So I think I just didn't, I heard, I just didn't listen.
So do you think that came out of ego? Or do you think that
It's just
the new agent thing?
Got to put in the time. And I just hadn't put in enough time and didn't realize it.
I see.
And sometimes you don't learn to fly until you get pushed out of the nest. So, one thing that he said was, we were at New Albany Realty. And so, that's 43054 is one of the wealthiest zip codes definitely in the state of Ohio, but in Columbus.
Well, I'd say that office specifically is known for producing high volume, low unit. So like each house is like nice ass houses. So that's what they're known for.
Yeah. No, I mean, right now, as of today, there's 21 houses available at all price points. I think there might be 2 or 3 under 500. So majority of the houses, I would say a third are probably 5 to 8, and then the rest are millions.
Yeah.
So so it's a very affluent community. Well, he would constantly say, you don't have to leave the bubble. You don't have to leave the bubble. There's enough business right here. And I was like, yeah, well, that's easy for you to say. You belong to the country club. You have since its infancy. You live in New Albany. It's just like he goes to church there. It's like all of the thing. His kid goes to school there.
So he's in the ecosystem.
Right. And I'm like, I'm in Reynoldsburg. So like, how is that? How is I don't need to leave up 43054. I do. I have to go home, and that wasn't really where I wanted to put down, my business. I didn't want to be the mayor of Reynoldsburg. Smash cut to 21. I've now moved to Blacklick. I've now been a member of the Jefferson Country Club for several years. My kids go to Gahanna. It was just like, wait, this is all I need. And now, I've sold more houses in the Jefferson Country Club community than any other agent in the last year or so that I've been there. And it works. It's just like, if I get an online lead, I'm only getting one that's in my zip code and in my wheelhouse. So I only go, I got a new client yesterday, 4 minutes from my house.
Oh, that's great.
So and the fact that I was able to rip every house like that is on the market, and that I sold this and I sold that, and it's not in a braggadocious way, but like to really be the knowledge broker and the guy that knows all of the things and what's going on and who's moving where and what's going in here, and like it really is, you know, important to pick your place and be the mayor of your farm.
So you got out of New Albany and then made yourself the mayor of the Jefferson Country Club.
Well, Blacklick.
Yeah, in that area. Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry for the interruption, but are you a real estate agent trying to grow your business, but you feel stuck posting random content, working inconsistent leads, and guessing what strategy is actually going to work? So if so, hit subscribe on this channel where I'm going to break down the exact systems and strategies the agents in our group are using right now to generate leads, convert clients, and build a business that's actually going to last. So no fluff, no guru nonsense, just real stories, real results of what's actually working in the field right now. So make sure to go hit that subscribe button and let's get back to work. We're not going to have you spill the sauce on that. That's for another time. But you did say that you learned a lot from having him as a mentor. So you eventually ended up starting your own team, right?
I built my team up and then kind of burn it to the ground, so to speak. I had agents leave. You know, I had agents that I asked to leave. I had agents that I was, thank God that they left. You know who you are. Is that the right camera?
Yeah. You did that real smooth. That was good.
You know, and then I went alone, and I was like, oh, this is actually not so bad, just being a solo agent, until I started getting enough business to where now I'm in real need for agents. And one, I think that teaching makes us better. I mean, obviously, you know that firsthand. So I know that by holding someone else accountable, it's also holding me accountable.
Yeah.
So, you know, practice what you preach, eat your own dog food.
Yeah, you don't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah. So, but also I just, you know, I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old boy, and they're busy, and I want to be part of their lives. And that was kind of my whole genesis of why I started a team. It wasn't for any ego reasons. I didn't want to be a team lead. In fact, I named my team the One Group.
Okay.
For several reasons. I'm a big fan of Gary Keller's book, The One Thing.
That's a good one.
And I wanted every single person on the team to be able to operate and have no client not know that they're not the team lead. Because that was one thing about being on a team with my mentor, was people didn't really understand, like, wait, so I don't get
the head cheese.
Right. Oh, I'm not spending enough money. I'm not good enough. And I never wanted a client, whether it was mine or somebody else's, to feel that way again. So, and you know, you can take the One Group as, well, for a while, I was the only one.
Yeah.
I was the One Group, and everyone on the team is also an individual, but we all come together to make one team. So that was kind of my sort of thought process.
It's interesting that you say that. Even in the name itself, the One Group, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at most real estate groups, most real estate teams, I mean, it's usually the flag is usually carrying the founder's name. So the fact that you did not do that and you named it something else that then XYZ agent can plug in and they don't feel like they're living in your shadow, I think it's great. Because at some point, that agent's, if you do a good enough job as a mentor, you're going to allow them to be able to fly on their own, and you're not pushing them out the door if everything is under your name as the team lead.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm glad you did that. Not many do.
I try not to do what many do.
Oh, yeah, that's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. So you were talking before we got on camera that as you were building the team, and one of the things that attributed to having to cycle the team was not having solid systems in place. So as you learn that lesson, as you are getting ready to start adding people to the team, what role has systems what opportunity has systems created for you now that you're a little bit more organized and focused?
It's the only thing. Okay. I mean, you can't operate without good systems. And, back in the day, agents wrote their leads or their clients' names down on 3x5 note cards and had it in an old shoebox, and that was a system. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I could have operated out of that space at that time. Technology has made me an agent, mm-hmm. and I've tried to keep up with it as it continues to move at lightning speed.
Yep.
But without systems, it's really hard to do more than a couple transactions a month.
Yeah, you're limited by your own capacity.
Right.
And emotion.
Yeah. And so I've been very diligent about doing it the right way this time,
So one of the things that I really like about you is how honest and transparent that you are. I had a conversation with another agent not that long ago. And once again, for context, I'm a loan officer, not an agent. I'm just playing podcaster by day. Mm-hmm. So we had a conversation. It's like, what is the amount of agents that have ADHD? And it was just a curious question that I had. And he goes, I would probably venture to guess it's probably 60 to 80%, somewhere in that range of agents that have ADHD. So you once thought that real estate was going to be flexible and easy. And I think a lot of agents, they come into the industry because they don't like structured hours. They don't like being told what to do. They think it's going to be this free-form thing, close a couple of deals, drive a nice car, be on social media, call it a day. So I think that kind of flies in the face of a lot of agents having ADHD. So not saying that you do, but like, what was that reality check when you realized this was not going to be as easy as what I thought it was?
Squirrel. I don't know. I mean, real estate is simple. It's not easy.
Okay. Hit me with that.
So it's Keep just, going. I mean, it's, you show up, you do the work, but you're always showing up and you're always doing the work. Now, you don't have to, but it sucks to suck.
Yeah.
And
can't confirm.
And most agents suck. Sorry, guys.
Loan officers too. I'm just trying to pretend like I know what I'm doing.
No, I mean, like, look, you can do this job as little or as much as you want. Mm-hmm. There are agents that are workaholics, that work too much. I'm sure we could name a handful of them off the top of the head, that we know.
Yep.
But is that worth, your family, mm-hmm. Your friends? Mm-hmm. I feel like my mentor was a workaholic.
Yeah.
One of the things that learning from someone is sometimes it's not learning what to do, it's what not to do. Mm-hmm. So, it's funny because he would always tell me, it's not the clients you work with, sometimes it's the clients you don't work with. Meaning sometimes it's not worth the hassle of dealing with these people.
Okay.
Like once you figure out, like, case in point, the story I just told you about, I would have fired them had I seen the writing on the wall.
Yeah, they've given you some red flags.
Yeah, but there were no red flags up front. It was only after we were deep in that I was like, oh, well, you could not buy this house and you can go find another agent.
Right.
But they were not giving up on that house. And I was like, well, okay, well, then you're buying this house and you're in contract with me as much as we're in contract on this house, but I will step aside and let another agent take over. Mm-hmm. Because I've learned that, again, it's what am I going to prove? So So yeah, you can work as much as you want, but unless you're waking up and you're watching the news and you're watching real estate news and you're watching, macro trends and micro trends and understanding your target market and the surrounding markets and how that's affecting, the properties that you are searching for and the ones that you are selling. And then you're making calls, and then you're masterminding, or you're talking to your coach, and then you're actually out there selling properties and going to listing appointments. And
I'm tired just listening to that
well,
list.
but that's the gig, and most people don't realize it. They think we just, what did you say? Go on social media, drive a fancy car, and make a decent clip.
Clink mimosas at lunch and have a videographer in the room. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's our next video right there.
All right.
Well, the fact that you had said that it's simple, not easy, I think it speaks to so many different things. Like, there's no silver bullet. And I don't know, man. I think that's kind of the grace that a lot of us need to give ourselves, is just staying with it, not quitting, because it will get difficult. You will question every life decision that you've made if you're inside of real estate.
Yeah, but it sure beats roofing in July.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I hate physical labor.
Yeah.
I've done the shittiest of jobs, and I hate manual labor, and this sure kicks the shit out of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I worked at a landscaping company, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. I did it in college to buy my wife's engagement ring, and she will also remind me that I also bought a PlayStation with the money that was left over. So,
My wife says her first engagement ring was a PA that I bought for my band.
but she got what she wanted.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really am endeared about you with is you are never static. And like, you can start seeing you get itchy when you've been doing something for too long because you're ready to iterate into something else. So like, what is your latest experiment that you're working on right now that you're trying to figure out, and how's it going?
Getting back into the world of music. So last night I texted you. We were at a watch party for our lead singer who was in this year's American Idol.
No shit.
So tonight will be you'll probably be seeing. I hope I'm looking at the right camera, because
Yeah, we're over. I got to get a confidence monitor in here somewhere.
yeah. But tonight is the duets, and she was on. She had a little bit of airtime last night. Tonight she should be on again. So we're really proud of her. But we're also putting together, the full band experience, and hoping to get out there this summer and play lots of shows. And one of the things that I'm working through right now is not just the music, but making it a show. So in-ear monitors, so that we're not a slave to whatever guy is running sound that night. And, that can make or break a band. But again, with the technology that we have in molded in-ears and wireless packs, like, you can kind of control your own stage environment. And so there's a learning curve in that, and I'm getting excited about that. And then building backing tracks and in programs to fill out the sound. And, I can only play what I can play, and sometimes there's a need for piano or even auxiliary percussion that is in the song, but you just don't realize it. So if we're playing to tracks, that kind of fills out the show and makes it a little bit more full. So I guess that's kind of what I'm working on now.
What's crazy is, like, and I don't have the knack for music. My kids do. They could just pick it up, and I think that you have that knack too. So like, you play drums, but you also play other instruments as well.
I'm currently working on an album called Too Drunk to Grill.
Okay.
I would expect it in the fall of 2026.
Okay.
So stay tuned. I'm working on a little bit of songwriting.
If this is around that time, check the show notes. We're probably going to have it updated and have that album for release on Spotify or something like that?
It'll be everywhere that you hear music.
Dude, you're going to be trending on TikTok. I have no doubt.
I don't doubt it. Now, I may not be singing, but I'm definitely going to try to pen this album.
All right.
So,
all right, well, that's exciting. So here on the podcast, what we're trying to do is, selfishly, we're trying to proof of concept the launch method. Now, you've already been through the agent launch workshop, and like one of your specialties and one of the things that we talk about in the launch method is how to market yourself. So your authenticity is very enviable. Like a lot of agents, like we talked about, they put on the shine. They didn't shower all weekend, but when it's time to do content day, they're putting on the red bottom shoes or whatever they're called, and then just doing it up for social. So wearing joggers, wearing shorts. My favorite's been running down the street with the pit stains. That was awesome. Like, can you give us an example of how that shows up for you day to day? Like, departing from what you think people want to see versus actually being you.
people just want to be helped.
Okay.
My family just got back from our spring break. We went to Mexico. We got back 2:00 in the morning Sunday night. So, yeah, no milk, no bread, no, the necessities that a family of four needs. We had, cleaned out the refrigerator before we're going to be gone for a week or so.
Yeah.
So, I have to replenish these things. Well, I get a call from someone that wants to see a house. I'm at the grocery store. I'm wearing a ball cap, joggers, tennis shoes, sweatshirt, t-shirt. And again, remember, I've keep it to my farm. I say, Kathy, I'll be on my way. I show up. I said, sorry, a little cash. She doesn't care. She just wants to see the house.
Yeah.
People just want to be taken care of. And they respect the authenticity of just showing up.
Yeah.
I can't, I would say that the number one rule in real estate, if I was talking to somebody that just got their real estate license, show up.
As you.
Show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a tie. You don't need a jacket. I mean, in some places you have to have a jacket.
We're not talking about
not
dinner with
right.
no prices on the menu.
Right. But just show up. Do open houses. Show up. It's batting practice. I have been doing this over 16 years. I like to do open houses because I get to swing the bat. I get to say, hey guys, come on in. How'd you know I was here? I mean, no shit, there's signs out front. But did you find me on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com, or did you see me on social media, or tell me how you got here? Now tell me what's going on.
Right.
And they teach all these scripts, and my script is tell me what's going on. Show up, tell me what's going on, how can I help?
So 2 of those are about them. 0 of those are about you. So, I think asking them and making it about them, I think really reduces the pressure of trying to front, if you will. There was a hip-hop song from the 80s or 90s that says, there's no future in your fronting. I don't remember who's saying it. But anyway, I think COVID really trained a lot of that pretentiousness out of us. It still exists to some extent, but a lot of us in real estate made a ton of money in shorts and flip-flops. And then now, I think society in general has gotten a lot more casual.
Oh, yeah.
And if I showed up in a 3-piece suit to an office meeting, it would be almost an immediate turnoff for most agents. So I am glad to see that the fronting has kind of subsided, at least for now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're showing multi-million-dollar properties, you should take a shower.
It's kind of a precursor, yeah. So you've been working on a new follow-up system. So what does that look like for you right now?
Chat. It's
ChatGPT, to be clear.
No, well, yes and no. I have a group chat with my assistant that's my system as of right now, because you're getting a dedicated real estate agent and someone that's dedicated to making sure you're heard and that can constantly be in touch with me to say, hey, what are we doing here? Like on this group, so-and-so needs attention. When are you going to have time? And then I can peel off in a separate with him and just say, let him know, schedule a call for 3:00.
Yeah.
That's been a game changer for me, that he's managing my calendar and managing my client follow-up. It's not to say that I'm not following up.
Right.
It's just managed and it's systematized. And then going back to ChatGPT, ChatGPT is only as good as you give it information.
Yep.
But one thing that, you mentioned that all, a good amount of agents are ADD. Sometimes, and I would say myself personally, one of the hardest things to do is to start.
Heard.
So all I use ChatGPT for, in which mine has sort of learned a lot of my personality and my cadence and knows what I do and what I'm using it for. So I'm using it to pen my text messages, my follow-ups, my emails to just get me started, because as somebody that was not a great student, once I found music, I didn't give a shit about school anymore.
Right.
So, I'm not the greatest with spelling and punctuation and all of that. I feel like I can talk, but I can't put my talk into words. ChatGPT, all I do is talk. And I say, hey, here's what we're going to do this morning. I need to follow up with this person. I met them yesterday at this address. We had a great meeting. These are the things we talked about. Reiterate that we discussed their price point being this and that these are their wants and needs. And just put that together so that they feel heard, and put it together so I can just copy and paste it. And then I read it, I revise it, done. So it's, AI is not going to replace agents. It's just going to make some agents really good.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you're listening, the amount of detail, the amount of humanity that you put into that prompt, it's not just, hey, write me a social media post for today about PMI. Like, you said it very well. Better inputs equal better outputs. So if you don't have the results you're wanting from GPT, it's because you suck at prompting.
Right.
And it's just another skill.
Well, and it's here's what we're going to do. Hey, ChatGPT, here's what we're going to do. Is that okay? Great. Let me have it.
Yeah.
And then you give them the information. And then you have them, nope, I don't like that. Let's revise it.
Yeah. Oh, and manners.
Yeah.
Manners. You got to use manners when you're talking to AI, because when they are our overlord someday, they will remember who was nice. So you mentioned that you made a change in your follow-up. So is that the group chat with your team? Is that what you're doing to make ends and kind of fill in the cracks, so to speak? Is you're having them basically be your backstop?
Yes. Okay. And then video text message is where I'm going next, as part of systems. Just it's important that people. We live in a new generation of keyboard warriors, and text is so quickly buried anymore. And I think that through video, you can show that you're really there, that you're a real person, and just make people feel more connected to you. And again, text is how most people want to communicate, but I think so much is lost in a text, in inflection, excitement, tonality. And so through a video text, I think we can really kind of take it to the next level.
So it's actually interesting that you say that, because that was actually the precursor to my next question. So do you think better follow-up more effective follow-up is about process or personality?
You got to read the room.
Okay, what does that mean?
You got type A people, and you got not type A people. So the type A people want to know, what are we doing? How are we going to do it? And how long is it going to take?
Okay.
I've got other people that are like, yeah, all right, cool. Let's get it done. That's why I'm hiring you.
Right.
Let's go. Just hit me up when you got it.
So real casual versus
So
real
you
high
have
type.
you have to read the room. You have to figure out who is your client. I show up to listing appointments with a folder of data, and I typically set it down and go, which way do you want it? You want to go over the dollars and cents, or do you just want me to tell you what it's going to sell for? And you'll know who you're dealing with
Pretty quickly.
pretty quickly.
Yeah. That's good. So I think this is something that gets overlooked a lot, but you said that agents need to build better relationships, not just with clients, but with other agents and their vendors. And I think that's something that you're really good at. Why do you think that is so imperative for an agent in the longevity in their career?
Agents don't pick up their phone.
Okay.
They'll pick up their phone for me.
Oh, okay. So do you have like an actual case study of that?
Just life.
Okay.
Just the more people that you meet, the more relationships that you build with people, the more people that have me stored in their phone
Yeah.
are going to go, oh, what's he calling me for? Like, are we golfing? Are we drinking?
Yeah.
Or are we doing a real estate transaction?
Right.
So, and that's, it was an eye opener how big of an impact my relationship with other agents has had on my career. My wife used to give me shit constantly. Well, she still does. But why are you hanging out with, you're going to another realtor event to hang out with realtors. That's not building your business. But during COVID, when we were in multiple offers, it was absolutely building my business.
Yeah.
It was because it was, not only do people do business with people they know, like, and trust, agents do business with agents they know, like, and trust. So the more agents that you have great relationships with, and your reputation is everything too.
Okay.
There are a lot of agents in this, what are we going to call that? There's a lot of agents in Columbus
Okay.
that we could all go, yeah, I don't really want to do a deal with that person.
So if they have a buyer and then another agent who does have your favor has a buyer, you're more apt to move your client in the direction of the agent that is going to be less of a pain in the ass?
I'm not going on record saying that.
Fair enough. I did paint you into a corner.
But I would assume that might happen.
Right. Well, okay. So here's a case in point. So just this weekend, and I don't know about other loan officers and other agents that are watching this, but like one of the very first things when a customer says, hey, I like 123 Main Street, can you run numbers for me? One of the very first things that I do after plugging in the address into the Google box is I look to see who the listing agent is.
Of course.
And this weekend, it is actually an agent that I am good friends with. And it's like, oh, we got this one. Got this one without even much question. So I told the buyer's agent, I'm really good friends with the listing agent. We got this one wrapped up. Just don't fuck it up. Like, I think that gets overlooked so often. Like, you said relationships, but it also plays into your brand. Like, your brand is how you make people feel when you're not in the room. And there's a lot of agents and loan officers who have pooped on their brand for short-term gain, and it's hurt them down the road. So it's great to hear you tell other agents that your reputation, your brand, it's got to be up above pretty much everything else that you do.
Well, I mean, I think it was the first deal I did this year. It was a flip, and the investor flipper was talking to another agent that's in my office and said, hey, I'm in contract with Jensen. What can you tell me about him? He goes, oh, that's my guy. And he goes, you hate all real estate agents. And he goes, yeah, but I don't hate that one.
Not that one.
And he goes, trust me, he's going to get you to the closing table.
Oh.
And he was like, really? And he said, that's my man. And now I had
Now the pressure's on.
Right.
But the hard part's done, though.
but we closed.
Yeah, man.
So, and everybody was happy. And I really appreciate that, that agent, kind of
Yeah.
giving me daps there with the seller.
So how has prioritizing relationships over transactions changed your business?
It just made it better. It also makes it more fun.
When you're working with your friends.
Yeah, when you're
Makes it
working with
easier.
people that you like, and again, Ryan Serhant says no one likes to be sold, but everyone likes shopping with friends. And so it's also like I like co-oping with my friends. I like doing deals with loan officers that are my friends and people that you can just call up and be like, come on, don't bullshit me. This is where are we on this file, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, you get the real deal.
Yeah, and same with the agent on the other end. So it makes for a smooth, easy transaction.
So I have 2 teenage daughters. Oldest one is in the mud with friends from time to time. This is teenage daughter stuff, and you have a teenage daughter, same age. So I was listening to a podcast, Diary CEO, Vanessa Van Edwards was the guest, and she said they did a study not that long ago that talked about what made kids more popular than other kids. And it wasn't wealth, it wasn't beauty, it wasn't the car they drove. The number one determining factor of what made one kid more popular than the other was the amount of people they liked, the quantity of people that particular person liked. It wasn't other people liking them, but just think about it. You're going down the hallway in high school and you're saying hi to everyone. You know everyone's name. Doesn't matter what clique they are, what they look like, or who they're friends with. And I try to express that to my teenage daughter.
They don't get it.
No, they don't. But Dad, you don't get it. you were 13, but you're 13 now.
Oh, I really do get it.
But it seems like you're very much leaning on that principle here. You are trying to be friends with everyone, and it's good for your clients for you to be friends with everyone.
I remember, I think it was 2018 or 19. I think. No, 17 or 18. I don't know. Bridge Park was brand new.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I went to, I think it was a real producer event on the top of, what is that, hotel or whatever?
Vaso?
Yeah, it was at
Yeah.
Vaso, and I didn't know a single person.
Huh?
And it was weird because I was there and I was like, I know everyone here is a realtor, and but I don't really know because it's all of the offices commingled, right? That's one good thing that Real Producers has
a good mixer.
has done for our real estate community is they've brought so many, brands, so to speak, together and made us more of a community. Good job, Katie. You're doing a great job. But I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And now, I go to one of your events and it's just like, again, it's
like Cheers.
It's high five rodeo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what's up?
Love it.
And I do too.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to just think in just a few short years how many people in this industry I've come to really like and just get along with and understanding people's personalities, and I'm having fun.
And that's so hard to find, especially in this market and in this environment right now. Most people are not having fun.
Oh, I mean, there's points of not fun, but
Yeah.
that's why I drink.
Whatever it takes to get through, right? Yeah. So you grew up in church, and your grandpa was a minister. How has that shaped your ability to be able to connect with people? Like, what did you learn from him?
I think just the strong ethics, like the golden rule is life, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I have kind of changed it into doing the right thing is always the right thing.
Okay. So honor.
Hard stop.
Yeah.
Just, just be a good dude. I think that's straight out of the Bible. And
Like,
Jesus said unto them, just be a good dude.
So it's probably not in the black print, but the red print.
Yeah.
Quoted.
Beeth a good dude.
Right? See? I like it. This industry, this career is relentless, trying to balance it all with family, with your passions, and it's not easy. So when you do get some Jensen time, when family's not in the picture, when the world's quiet, your phone's not ringing, what do you tend to lean on after you've had a tough day?
Mindless scrolling on social.
Okay. So the doom scrolling.
Yeah. I mean, I've got my algorithm curated pretty good. So
What's your favorite platform?
right now I'm bullish on Instagram.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I flip-flop. It's funny to see how TikTok views me versus Instagram. On TikTok, I am just sucked in by these. I have no pets, but I absolutely love. There's this black dude that overdubs what he thinks that the dogs and cats are saying, and it's just a guilty pleasure.
Oh.
I just think it's so funny, and I feel like such a douche saying it out loud.
No.
But I love it.
He's one of my daughter's favorite creators.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and of course I'm always like, kids, come here, watch this, and they're like,
Dad. Yeah. Now, if they came across the same video,
oh, I know.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is fun. It is fun to have my kids' friends watch my videos and
Like the ones that you're creating?
yeah, like having them. Well, I'll see them creeping my profile, and I'll see them. Sometimes they'll actually follow me,
Right.
and then they'll say to my kids, "Your dad's a creator, or he's an influencer," and
He's a YouTuber.
they're just like, ugh. And then they come home, they're, Dad, I want to start a channel. Help me start a channel. I'm like, whenever you're ready.
Say less.
We have all of the stuff.
Yeah, you are gear rich, for sure. So you said that you're waiting for everything to click. And I think that humbleness, I think, is very endearing, because I'm still trying to figure out who I am too. So what do you say to the agent who's trying to figure it all out and is showing up daily and is not there yet?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience is a virtue.
Okay. So just not trying to get it now, just keep playing, keep trying to figure it out.
You might be 9,000 into your 10,000 hours. You might be 11,000 hours in, but it's not going to hit until 12.
Yeah.
You just have to keep swinging the bat.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm waiting. I'm blessed. I'm grateful, and I'm blessed for what I have and where I'm at. And like you said, I'm gear rich. I have more than I need. And I'm lucky for that.
I think there's a lot of peace that comes into knowing how blessed we all are, versus living in that lack and that scarcity. I'm glad you figured that out, bud.
It's important. I think it's important for everybody to, it sounds hippy dippy, and I'm not that kind of person, but in the last several years, I've really gotten into meditation.
Okay.
And I think that what the meditation has taught me is to slow down, focus on the breath that we have, thank God, and to be grateful for the people we have, and for the things that we've been given.
Oh, that's so good.
So,
So good. What is one thing that you think that every agent needs to understand, but no one's willing to talk about?
God, you guys are some fucking drunks.
Okay.
And I love you all.
Now you see why there's so many happy hours versus yoga sessions.
I mean, look, we have a good time as an industry. Little too much sometimes. As I'm getting older, wiser, more experienced, I'm trying to be more responsible as it pertains to going to realtor functions and whatnot. I'm trying to be very aware that I'm gonna not drive home, so why bother driving there?
Yeah, fair.
And now I'm focusing on health. That's going to be the next chapter. You know, I love to be the life of the party. I love to live life to excess and drink and cuss and tell jokes and make people laugh. I love to live, but I want to keep living. And you can't, I think Gary Keller said, you can't win if you're dead.
Oh, that's a good one.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to try to live some more life.
I can't remember where I was, but I was in a store, and over the PA system, a commercial came on, and it was like, the man who is healthy has a million problems. The man who is unhealthy only has one. And I'm like, ah, damn it. And we're all getting older. Mm-hmm. We're getting older. I'm 42 at this point, and noticing the age of my parents, age and time are becoming a real thing, a real running theme in my mind.
It's a bitch.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about where you live in person, but where do you live online? Where can people connect with you at?
I'm at Ginson Speich everywhere.
Okay. Could we lay that out? Because I know that I struggle with your last name. Where can I find you? Spell it out for him.
GINSONSPEICH.
Okay. So you said you're really into Instagram right now, right? Okay. So is it okay for people to reach out to you and DM you?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Slide on it.
Slide into the DMs. Yeah, and if you have not watched any of Jensen's videos, I highly recommend it, because, I mean, you are a very jovial person.
There's more coming, I promise.
Today and online. And that's actually, I think, one of your superpowers is you don't take yourself seriously, but you're also willing to be weird, where a lot of agents are very rigid. So if you...
They actually come off weird.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing.
I just am weird.
And like, if you are looking for inspiration on how to try to become closer to the center of who you are, I think you are a great role model. And the fact that you are willing to continue to try to evolve speaks to your character and also to your fear, because you and I have had many conversations offline that you do something weird and you start to see other people copy it, and then you kind of have this panic of trying, okay, where do I got to go next? Where's the next field that I got to go with mice in it? And so if you're looking for someone to copy, Jensen's it. Just if you're in Columbus, don't copy him too quick, because he's still trying to figure out what he's going to do next.
I'm trying to figure it all out.
All right? Yeah. So anything you want to add as we wrap up?
Yeah, let's go. Snapping necks, cash and checks.
Catalina wine mixer. Catalina wine mixer. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.